We are honored today to have our Polk County Sheriff, Grady Judd, with us, and we're proud of him. We're proud of the great work that he does in our community, and he's on the news quite often. And some of you watch the news. I even ask people, Sheriff, I ask them other places of the country, said, I've seen that sheriff on Fox News, you know. And but he's on there for the right reason, because he's standing for what is right, fighting against that which is wrong, and we thank the Lord for that. And he started a new program to help work to protect our children. Thank the Lord for that. I prayed down at the county, or the Polk County School Board, the meeting the other night, and praying for our sheriff, praying for all of our law enforcement officers, that God would help them, and praying for our schools that they would be protected this coming year. It's a very serious problem and subject that we're dealing with, that our sheriff has worked very hard, in fact, has become known all across the country in some of the things, ideas that he has come up with in order to try to help protect our schools, and we thank the Lord for that. But greatest of all, I would tell you, the thing that I like about our sheriff is that he's a man that loves God, and that's the thing that I like, and that comes shining through very strongly. And we're honored today the sheriff would come and address us today, so let's give him a warm welcome. Sheriff, if you would come. God bless you, brother. Good to have you with us.
Thank you very much. It is truly an honor to be your sheriff, but it's a greater honor to be a Christian. You know, Pastor, as I stand here before you today, I like to always thank the people for being supportive of public safety and public service in this community. It's important to understand that the only reason that we can worship freely is because we have a free democracy. If it weren't for the military or scattered around the world today, watching us and keeping us safe from the outside in, if it weren't for law enforcement internally keeping us safe from the inside out, we couldn't enjoy the democracy that we have. And then you look at your firefighters and your paramedics, and you know that they're special heroes. Pastor Hodges, we all have a ministry. And the first thing that comes to mind when you think of ministry is that you're a pastor, or you hold office in the church. But please remember that we're all ministers. We're all ministers, and Webster defines ministering as giving aid or service. Therefore, when you serve others, you're ministering to them. And I like to think of it as servant leadership, where you set the example by the way you operate. Jesus tells us that greatness is not ruling over others, but serving them. You know, when you look in the Bible, and it's Matthew chapter 20, verses 26 through 28, it's one of the most compelling statutes. I'm talking about law, but it is law in the Bible. Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and give his life as a ransom for many. And that's what we think we do every day when we go to work. Our job is to serve you. I work for you. This is not my office of sheriff, it's your office as sheriff. And I truly believe, because my dad, who is a strong Christian man and raised me in the Christian church, taught me at a very young age, you work hard for your boss. And you are my boss. And I know that if I want to keep my job, that I have to do the job you expect me to. And every day I go to work, I coach the most wonderful men and women who work with the sheriff's office. And that's what I do, is I coach. And here's how we function at the sheriff's office. I asked my deputies, I said, I want you to do one thing. When people are victims of crime, I want you to treat their case as if your mother were their victim. How would you want the case investigated if your mother were the victim of the robbery or the burglary? If you do that, everything will be well. I asked the men and women at the sheriff's office to put others first. I asked them, I said, do me one favor. When people are in need, they call us. So make them believe, like we believe, that they're the most important thing in the world until we resolve their issue. That makes a positive difference. And I can remember that when I gave this coaching point, look, people don't call us in the good times. They call us in their toughest times. So you see, the worst day for people in the community is our everyday. But our job is to go there and help, to make a bad situation better. And I want to tell you one of my favorite stories, and I have thousands of them, and Pastor said you can talk 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm pushing you off this new stage here. But I had a deputy that went to the house of a lady who was in her 80s who had just lost her husband of over 60 years. And the deputy worked this investigation. It was apparent that he had died in his sleep from some medical issues he had in advance. And so my deputy is working on the investigative report, and she's talking to the lady, and she's making sure that the pastor is notified, that the next of kin is notified, that this wonderful lady is not being left by herself. And then as she starts to leave, and that's just before she starts to leave, one of the last things that occurs is the body is removed from the home. So the lady says, can I go back and visit my husband one last time before he leaves our home for the last time? And the deputy went back with her. And then as the case wrapped up that night for the deputy, she looked at this lady and said, I'll be back to check on you. Well, the lady told me this story about 2 years later, and she said, yeah, I thought to myself, yeah, right. As busy as she is, I'll never see her again. She's just being nice to me. But the next week, the lady said, I got a card in the mail, a condolences card signed by that deputy and all the people who worked with her on her shift. And the next week, I heard a knock at the door, and that deputy came to the door and asked, how are you doing? Can I come in and visit? And she checked on my every need. She says, I'll never forget that the rest of my life, and I'll share it with everybody I can. That's what we're about. When you see law enforcement officers, you think, Pastor, that, well, we write tickets and put bad guys in jail, and we do that. If someone needs to go to jail, just give us a call. We'll make sure they get there. But the majority of the day is we're helping people who are in remarkable distress, many times the worst distress of their life and the first time in their life. So as I close today, I want to share with you the fact of how much we appreciate you. We need you to be the eyes and ears in the community. You see, we work for you, but if you see something or hear something, please say something. We're concerned with these active shooters that go into the school and shoot our children. Did you know some people opposed us when we wanted very well-trained, armed people on campus to protect our school children? Some opposed us. Well, it passed. And today our children are safer than ever before. But we don't, that's pretty special. But as I tell everyone, the probabilities of an active shooter coming onto a school campus are very remote. The most dangerous part of a child's day is driving to school and getting home from school. School is safe, but it's even safer today. But if you see somebody in the community that's acting real weird, don't just say they're acting real weird and walk on. Call us and let us make sure that they're just acting weird and they're not really a danger. Because we don't want them walking into a church or walking into a business or certainly walking into a school and posing a problem for us. That's why we tell everybody, and this is a new normal. We all have to learn new normals, and our new normal is now take everybody at their word, and we'll keep you safe. Because the last place we want to rush in and find an active shooter is after they've arrived on the school campus, after they've arrived at the church, after they've arrived at your business. We want to find them a week ahead of time because somebody saw something or heard something and said something, and that's where you come in. So on behalf of all the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, the firefighters, the paramedics, the EMTs, and the military personnel, we feel the strength and energy and love that you give us. We appreciate it, and we'll keep working hard to protect you and keep you safe. May God bless you always.